and write stories for on the other side, okay? So you don't need to write any stories for these pictures. These are just to get you thinking about the different ways that you might solve triangles and use trigonometry. I mean, some of these you personally would never do, but it just should get you thinking about different uses of triangles to measure things, okay? But really all we are doing is just solving the problems just like you should have done on worksheet 5. Remember how I just handed back worksheet 5 to a bunch of you and said, please finish this? Yeah. Well, this is another chance besides finishing worksheet 5 to do some more problems like worksheet 5 to make sure you know what you're doing. Okay? Let's do one problem together, and I would like to suggest that maybe we do problem number 4. Why do you think problem number 4?
It looks hard.
That's the one we just wrote the story about, right? So let's go ahead and solve the one that we just wrote the story about, because that might be interesting to do. Okay, what we're going to do first is label the sides of the triangle. The angle is here. The hypotenuse is here because it's the longest and it's across from the right angle, so that's where X is. So I'm going to go ahead and label that hypotenuse. I need you to be quiet, please. What other side is this one here that has the number next to it? Okay, good job. I heard most of you had it right. The answer is opposite because it is across from that angle. If it had been adjacent, it would have been up here next to that angle. Okay, now according to the notes that we've taken the last few days, what ratio do we use for opposite and hypotenuse?
I got this. Cosine. Sin. It's sin.
Sine is correct. Okay. So we write down SIN for sine. Then what do we write next?
28. Sine x equals.
Okay, here's where you're going to have a problem. Guess what? On your last assignment, the angle was x. So some of you are telling me, let's write sine x. Is that correct? No. You always write the angle right after the sine, cosine, or tangent. So instead of x, it's the angle, and the angle is 28. Okay, now what?
And then x on top.
Isn't it opposite over hypotenuse? So it'll be 60 over x, and we learned that when the x is on the bottom, we divide. So it's kind of like these are going to trade places. So those of you that did not finish worksheet 5 and you're not sure how to, this is the next step. Please listen. So these two trade places, so we have x equals 60 divided by the sine of 28. And now you can use a calculator or the green chart. You don't have to use both, just one or the other, to find the answer. I'm going to go ahead and use a calculator. So I'm going to type in 60, and I'm going to divide it by 28? No. Sine 28. Are sine 28 and the number 28 two different things? Yes, the sine of 28 is a decimal. So we don't just do 60 divided by 28. That answer will be wrong. We have to do sine of 28. And then hit enter. And it says that the distance to the fire will be 127.8 meters. Next thing I want you to do is just think about the answer. If this is 60 meters tall, and the hypotenuse has to be bigger than that side, then does this answer make sense? Yeah, it does. And maybe the picture isn't drawn to scale because this one doesn't look like more than twice that. So the picture's not drawn to scale, but it still makes sense because 28 is a fairly small angle. So anytime you're doing problems like this, you should always stop and ask yourself, does this answer make sense? And is the answer just 127.8? The answer is 127.8 meters. Always, always, always put the units on your answer when you are doing story problems. Do you need us to do another one together, or would you like some time to work? Monica would like one more. So if any of you want to start quietly working on this on your own, you're welcome to do so. But I am going to go through one more problem for those who want to listen. Would you like to choose one? I'm hearing 7. I don't care. 7, 8, which one?
8.
Okay, number 8 seems to be the overwhelming vote. Okay, we have a little teeny angle in here, 7 degrees. We have a distance here of 10,000 feet, so the airplane is approaching this building 10,000 feet away. The angle of depression between the plane and the building is 7 degrees. We want to know how much distance will be between the plane and the building when the plane flies overhead. Okay? So, first of all, let's identify which sides we have here. The hypotenuse would be this side here. Do we know anything about the hypotenuse? Nope. So this one right here is the adjacent side. Yes, it is. Thank you, Spencer. This side here is the adjacent side because it's right next to the 7. This side here is the opposite side because it's across from the 7. Are you getting the adjacent and opposite? You've got to practice those if you're not getting them. Okay, which one uses opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So we write down tangent, what? Tangent 7 equals x over 10,000. When the x is on the top of the problem, what do?
Multiply.
Multiply. So all we have to do is go 10,000 times the tangent of 7. Now, is it 10,000 times 7 or 10,000 times the tangent of 7? Tangent of 7. Those are two different things. 7 is a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Let's say I just put times 7. Is this still going to be the same answer?
No. Because, listen, Spencer, think about this logically. If all I do is multiply by 7, I will have 70,000 feet.
That's a buttload.
Does this look smaller or bigger than 70,000 feet? Much smaller. So you should be able to tell you did it wrong because the answer is not logical. Does that make sense?
I gotcha.
Okay, so we have...
You don't have a calculator. How do you, like, and you don't have a chart? How do you do it on paper?
You can't.
Can't?
You have to either have a calculator or a chart. Okay, do you want me to do this one with the chart instead?
Yeah, do the chart so I know what's up.
Okay, where did I put it? There it is. Alright, so we look at 7 degrees. So Spencer wanted to just multiply by 7, but that's wrong. What we do instead is we multiply by, and sorry, I wasn't trying to bother you about that because a lot of people will make that mistake.
Yeah, it's all
Instead of just multiplying by 7, we actually multiply by the tangent of 7. And the tangent of 7 is this last column right here. It's 1.1228. So I just go 10,000 times 0.1228. So this one's actually pretty easy to do without a calculator because for every 0 you move the decimal point. So there's 4 zeros, so I would move the decimal point 4 places. So what does that give me for x? 1,228, and what's the unit? Because we're not done till we put the unit on it. Feet. So the plane will fly 1,000 feet above the building, right?